Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Money on Main Street. Okay, so we know that many of you have hurricane damage. Your place or your business got flooded out. Now you have insurance, but you may not know what to do first. Well, we want to help you out with some tips and advice from Long Island restoration expert Mike Kennedy. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you're with DASO Restoration, which was founded in Plainview. Let's start with Long Island. Long Island was hit very hard. Talk to us about what we're seeing there in terms of how you go about filing for an insurance claim.
Sure. It really depends on your policy. The first thing you have to find out is if you are going to be covered. So you are covered. Next thing would be to get a restoration company or to have your insurance company call a restoration company to get to your house. That would be the first thing to do, is to get somebody there to assist you with the issue.
Now, how is this handled differently from, let's say, your pipe bursting causing a problem as opposed to a natural disaster like happened here with Hurricane Sandy?
Great question. The difference is that if a pipe breaks, it's automatically going to be covered under your homeowner's policy if you have a homeowner's insurance, okay? If in this situation, this hurricane situation, not everybody is going to have this type of coverage. This is only going to be covered if you have flood insurance, okay? And that is not part of your homeowner's policy, so you have to be very careful. That's primarily the main difference.
And in this kind of flood policy, what are some questions that you need to be prepared to ask the company so that you get your claim handled properly?
You know, it's pretty straightforward with Sandy. I mean, the surge came in and everybody was devastated with this. So the most important thing is how the water came in. So if you have this flood policy, the water came in through this surge, you're automatically going to be covered. But the thing is, there's going to be a cap, and that's what you have to be careful about. There is going to be a cap on your coverage. So there is something that's called excess coverage, but it's not part of the FEMA policy, and that's what you have to be careful for, because you're only going to get a certain amount of money.
What else do I need to ask so I can make sure that I get the maximum available to me?
You should ask what is going to be covered. Typically under FEMA policies, there might be a contents coverage, there might be a structural coverage. So you have to really get in touch with your agent to find out exactly what you're going to be covered for. Every carrier has different options.
Now, is there something that I need to watch out for when filing a claim? Certain things that I definitely need to talk about with my agent or that I should not talk about?
I've always been a fan of being straight up and honest. Just tell them this is what happened, and I feel like you're going to get the best results that way. If you start saying that the water came in from a different way, you start beating around the bush, I feel like you're just going to turn into more problems down the line, and then it's going to be harder for the restoration company or anybody else is trying to assist you to try to help you when it's feeded by a lie. So I would rather be completely honest and upfront.
And what about paperwork? What can people expect
with regards to
filing an insurance claim?
Filing an insurance claim, paperwork, well, it's going to be handled through the company that's assisting you. There's going to be papers, work authorization, there's going to be completion satisfaction forms. All of that is going to be submitted to the insurance company.
And this can seem very basic, but what exactly is involved in a restoration job?
It really depends on the structure of the house first. We have to go in, doesn't matter what time of night it is. We have to go, first thing, cut out all the sheetrock. Anything that's wet, you have to get rid of. Sheetrock, base molding, if it's carpeting. In this situation with Sandy, it was salt water anyway. It could be the cleanest water in the world, but after a certain period of time, there's going to be bacteria that's going to start to grow. So we want to get all of that out. The best thing to do is get everything that is wet out as soon as possible. Then we can work on putting in drying equipment and treating it with the antimicrobial agent so you don't get secondary damage like mold.
Now, what is reasonable to expect in terms of, I call the restoration company? Should they be out there within 24 hours, or given that this affected a lot of people, it's perfectly normal to expect that they'll be out here in a week?
Typically, a restoration company can be out there in 2 hours. In this situation, it's been so insane. We've been so inundated. Every other company out there has been so inundated. The waiting list could be up to 1 to 2 weeks, maybe even a month. I mean, people are just calling and calling and calling. We feel so bad. We want to help everybody out, but it's just...
What are you supposed to do in the meantime?
In the meantime, all I can say is that with Sandy, the waters are getting very, very high. The water was very high at the surge, okay? And you have to be careful of electrical outlets. So I would not suggest anybody to try to fix this problem themselves. If they have a friend or a family member in another area that they can stay while the water just subsided and then wait. Some people are trying to come back into their homes and turn on appliances, and that's how you're getting fires. So you don't want to try to do anything yourself, and you want to make sure that you hire a company that knows what they're doing, a company that's certified for flood restoration.
Okay, in our final seconds, what can you give us as the #1 piece of advice that you advise a family member?
Stay safe. I mean, it's very, very tough out there right now, and we don't want anybody to try to overexert themselves or try to do some of this work themselves. Is get safe, get to a family member, get some heat. There's still a tremendous amount of people that have no power, and you know, as much as the companies are trying to get everybody into shape as fast as we can, it's going to be a long road to recovery. So everybody, just please stay safe.
Okay, thanks Mike for joining us today from DASO Restoration.